We are live at CES 2016. As you may guess, we are not in Paris, but at the Hotel Paris with a lovely view of the fake Eiffel Tower behind us. The whole team's staying in Paris this year. This is going to be a show we're going to do every day at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is a great and very difficult thing for us to do here at CES.
That's 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, and I think that's what 3 p.m. GMT.
Yeah, it's a brutal show, but we want to give you the coolest thing that we saw at CES every single day. And we're starting today. Today's technically day 0 of CES. CES has not opened its doors, but we've been here for a day. We've seen a ton of cool stuff. We went to CES Unveiled last night. Sascha's got some really great information for some of his contacts, so we want to share that with you. We're going to do this every day, same time.
Yeah, well, the coolest thing I saw at CES yesterday.
Wait, I want to tell people a little bit, give some people a chance to sign up. It takes time for people to catch up.
Have we even introduced ourselves?
We have not.
Okay.
I am Dan Costa, editor-in-chief of PCMag.com.
And I'm Sascha Segan, lead analyst for PCMag.com.
And we are, of course, here covering the show. We're going to be doing this on Periscope every single day, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how we're going to do this show. We're going to start off, we're going to give people a chance to actually sign up, get it out through all the feeds, let people follow along. North Iraq, awesome. Awesome, we're going to give you what you need to know about CES. If that's something that you actually need to know.
Is that like Kirkuk? Is that like the Kurdish area?
I can tell you, we're going to get some great questions. So first we're going to tell you what we know. Then we're going to answer your questions, which is also really important so we'll give you 10 minutes of news, 10 minutes of questions, and we'll do it every day. We'll do it in 24 hours. We'll have a whole new slate of products to talk about. That's the wrap up. Culminating in Friday, our best of CES. All of the analysts that are going to cover every product category from cameras to laptops to phones to virtual reality devices. All of that's going to get covered, and we're going to pick the absolute best products. We're going to reveal them on Friday, same time on Periscope.
And I'm already kind of psyched. I feel like we have already started to see some of the things that could be best of CES.
Staticking, that is because I accidentally started following this broadcast while I was actually on this broadcast. It was like rule number 1, avoid feedback. Don't try and actually watch the show while you're holding the show. So I think that's enough prologue. I think we've given enough people to sign up. We should jump right into it. Now, so just to be clear, the show has not actually started. Doors open tomorrow at 10.
But a lot of people have been here for 2 days already because, as happens with all of these shows, we get here and we start having these pre-briefing meetings with various vendors because they want to align the press coverage with when their press releases come out and all of that, and it's also sort of gentlemen's agreements in the industry. So we find out about stuff a little bit in advance, and then pow, it all hits the wires, it all hits the websites, and in this coordinated way this morning.
Yep. In fact, you have the scoop on a story that is literally hitting the wires as we go live. This NDA is 7 minutes old. So and you say that it might be the coolest thing you've seen at CES so far.
Well, yeah, I think it's the coolest thing I saw at CES yesterday, which is the new HTC Vive Pre. Okay, so VR is going to be one of the big themes at CES this year. I've seen a whole bunch of press releases from VR vendors. I mean, VR is going to be big, automotive is going to be big, connected toothbrushes are going to be big. I'm only somewhat joking about that third one. I've seen a disturbing number of connected toothbrush vendors.
Yeah, there was one last year, and there's another one.
No, there's like 4. There's 4. There's maybe 5. Okay, I could make a list. But in any case, so VR, huge here, and HTC and Valve are, I feel, leading in the consumer VR space because of the Vive's ability to let you move around the room. Okay, the HTC Vive is a VR system that you strap onto your face, and it uses these laser positioning boxes in a room to check your position in a room. You hold these controllers, and so it's a full body VR experience. And they're showing off a new version of it starting today. They're going to be putting out 7,000 developer kits before the final version comes out for consumers in April. And it has a front-facing camera, which solves a big problem with these VR headsets because it lets the system see what's in front of you. So while you're walking around the room, you don't bump into things, which is a big deal. You don't trip over the cables. You don't trip over a table. You get this thing which HTC calls Chaperone, which makes it a much safer and more comfortable experience while you're kind of running around the virtual world shooting bows and arrows at
And
things.
is it active? Can you see through and see what's out there, or is it passive and it just detects that you're about to hit something and gives you an alert?
Oh, no, it's active. You can see wireframes of everything in the room around you if you want, or you can see an actual camera view of the room around you in a picture-in-picture. It's not true AR, it's not Microsoft HoloLens, but it does give you this, this safety and presence factor that is missing from, say, Oculus.
Yeah, it's actually very, very interesting. It's good that you mentioned Oculus.
But they made a bunch of other changes too. More streamlined controllers. It's a smaller headset that fits better on your face. The positioning boxes in the room look a lot nicer. It just looks a lot more like a finished system than it used to.
I think you're going to see in every smartphone manufacturer is going to offer a similar version. Samsung's been very aggressive in this space as well, licensing Oculus's technology. They've got a $100 VR headset, which we tested in the lab, and it provides a really interesting, decent experience, but it's not quite as immersive as the Vive. But this is where these handset manufacturers really want to differentiate themselves. You know, faster power, bigger screens, they're going to eventually run out of room for play there. They need to add a new killer feature, and a lot of them are looking at virtual reality to be that feature.
Well, with HTC, it's not just... Okay, so the Vive Pre is still a developer's kit, and it's being sent out to 7,000 developers, and it's not retail. And they are not talking about price yet, except to say that it's an early adopter product, and when it finally does come out, and they said they're going to announce the price in a few weeks, when it finally does come out in April 2016, it will be expensive.
Phantom Ghost says, "What's up, guys?"
Hey!
Phantom Ghost.
But yeah, so HTC, what I think is interesting, so HTC announced the Vive Pre. They also announced this this 4-piece fitness kit with Under Armour. And what's interesting about HTC, you say handset manufacturers, but I think they're turning into a different kind of company.
Because it's really hard to make money as a handset manufacturer.
And HTC hasn't been making a lot of money on smartphones. So HTC is, they have this great design sense. So I think HTC is transmuting into this company where they design and produce hardware products for other brands like Under Armour, like Valve, who have ideas and positions in certain markets but don't have a lot of experience in producing this kind of computer hardware.
The thing that they need to do, in my humble opinion, is when they're going to come to a point where they're going to have to decide whether they keep building all these peripherals around HTC handsets, or whether they say, look, you know what, you want to bring a Galaxy phone? That's okay. We're still going to work with all our peripherals.
They're already doing that. The Under Armour box, which is this $400 set of health tools that HTC and
your coffee. He warned you.
This $400 set of health tools that HTC and Under Armour are selling. They work with Android. They work with iOS. They are platform agnostic.
Yeah, it's very cool. So obviously you'll see more about that on PCMag.com. You get more details. Keep sending us your questions. We will keep interrupting Sascha and answering them. I went to... Does it harm our eyes? That's a good point.
I think the jury's out on that. I don't think there have been deep enough studies.
I mean, first of all, you're talking about a prototype kit that not even that many people have had. The Oculus kits we've had in the labs, we've tested them, but I don't know that we've spent more than 2 or 3 hours at a time, even in our longest runs, using them. There just haven't been long enough studies.
Also, the technology is changing so fast right now. You have to understand that this is a technology that is in, like, I would even call it pre-alpha. This is not. You look at Samsung Gear VR, and it's almost like, I hate to say this, Samsung, it's a gimmick.
Yeah, but it's Google Cardboard. And
right. We're not at the final broad consumer stage of this yet.
Yeah, there's a long way to go. Last night I went to CES Unveiled, which is where all the journalists go to get the latest gadgets before they get to the show 2 days later. It's a kind of a crazy show. It was super hot in there. It was super packed. We did a bunch of periscopes last night. The audio quality.
NVIDIA talk about their next graphics card.
NVIDIA's next graphics card. I have not heard about NVIDIA's next graphics card yet.
I was not at NVIDIA's press conference, but as far as I know, what NVIDIA was talking about mostly was a connected car setup. And specifically a autonomous driving setup. NVIDIA is, as you probably know, really, really intensely about GPU computing nowadays. And so they've decided that one of the big aspects of GPU computing is computer vision and the ability for cars to see what's around them and detect obstacles and drive autonomously. And that's the big thing that NVIDIA was showing off. They were showing off this concept car system that is autonomous driving.
In Sweden too. But that also shows how CES has changed a little bit. because there's not a lot of component news at the show. Even a component vendor like NVIDIA is coming here and they're showing CE applications, they're showing automotive applications, they're showing products and categories and use cases that are not traditional desktop computing. And that's how the show has evolved. So I got to mention this. I was at CES Unveiled last night. The first product and the first Periscope we did was a robot bartender, which I had to go. We had to do it, and it was actually it worked. I made the drink. It's got 6 canisters plus a canister for bitters. You pre-program all the mixtures in your mobile app, and it's got a bunch of presets. It's got a database of 100, 120 cocktails. You can also add your own cocktails, and it basically mixes them in the back, spits them out, cleans the tubes. Not a terrible cocktail, but just a sign of like how people are trying to automate just about anything these days.
So Hey Brazil. Can the bartender can you program the bartender with different people's tastes? Can I say like my friend is a lightweight, but I'm a total alky?
Yeah, you would just make it a different cocktail and make the measurements different, and only 6 mixers at a time, which I mean it's pretty good, but 6 mixers plus 1 container of bitters. So there's going to be a little limitation in terms of the range of cocktails you make. But and I still think people should always make their cocktails themselves.
Did anything so at CES Unveiled last year, the real stealth product that turned out to be the one which changed the world for the year was the hoverboard. Was there anything that grabbed people's imaginations at Unveiled?
Actually cause injury to large numbers of people throughout the planet?
Exactly. Was there anything that will change humanity the way inexpensive self-balancing scooters did?
I don't think there was. And again, we just got back from the show like 10 hours ago. So we're still parsing all the different things, and there are analysts that were there that saw cooler stuff that I didn't see. But the neatest thing I saw was the new Parrot prototype drone. Oh, Bogota.
Hola.
The new Parrot
My
drone.
coffee is not as good as your coffee.
No,
I want to point that out.
Coffee.
Yeah.
And other things. The Parrot drone, it's called the Disco. I have no idea why it's called the Disco, and I call it a drone, but it's not really your traditional quadcopter drone. First of all, it's probably twice as big, and it's got wings.
It's like a stealth bomber, isn't it?
It looks like a glider. It looks like and the thing that they've...
Sophisticated as the smart home technology.
The smart home technology? It's getting incredibly sophisticated. And actually, one of the other cool things I saw at CES Unveiled last night was Netimo's, we call it a security camera. They don't want to call it a security camera. It's much more than a security camera. But it's a security camera that's built in software that can recognize whether that motion in your backyard is a human, is a car, or is an animal. And obviously, if there's a deer walking through your backyard, you don't need a text alert on your phone telling you somebody's trying to break into your house. But it uses software to create that detection. And it's all, I mean, that's just a nice incremental upgrade, supposedly very easy to set up. That's going to be available in Q1 for less than $200, I think. Don't quote me on the price.
What if it's a werewolf? Does it say human animal?
Yeah, hybrids.
Yeah.
But it's like that's the type of technology. We've had these backyard cameras and smart cameras, and they're really easy to set up, and you can create alerts. And you can use IFTTT to give you an alert on your phone, give you an alert on your desktop. But until you have that software that can tells you what's in your backyard and gives you that added information, you know, it's not that useful. So that there are a lot this year we've seen a lot of incremental improvements in the digital home like that.
Well, and that actually connects to something that I'm going to hear people talking about later this morning, which is AT&T. AT&T has a press conference later today, and they've been saying that they're going to be talking a lot about smart homes, smart health, smart cities, which AT&T, I was talking a little earlier about how HTC is kind of shifting its focus away from smartphones a little bit. But AT&T is really targeting all of these other things that you can put connectivity in that aren't just your phone.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they've been pushing their home security systems for a while now. I think they're going to be talking a lot about cars. I think they're going to be talking a lot about this whole smart city thing, which is very nebulous and involves everything from police body cameras to trash cans.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that AT&T initiative is that they're doing the same thing that a lot of the cable carriers are doing, which is they don't just want to give you that dumb pipe going into your home that lets you get online and connects all your devices. They want to come to your home and set all that up for you. So to the extent that the digital home is still a complicated thing and that it's not the simplest thing to set up your security cameras and connect to your baby cam and all of that, they want to come into your home, charge you a service, and then...
I bought a 65-inch Samsung 4K 8500 series. Am I going to regret the purchase?
A 65, no. An 8500 series, you will never regret the
No,
purchase of an 8500 series Samsung.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the only reason you would possibly regret it is if you feel like you paid a little too much for your television. Yeah. But you're getting a great quality TV. It's just that you're paying Samsung prices for that Samsung brand. That said, I have a Samsung TV in my home.
As do I.
Exactly. So there you go.
Yeah, you're not going to regret it. And also, it is time to move to 4K. I mean, that's, up until this point, about 6 months ago, I started switching and waffling and telling people, you know what, make the investment.
What about 3D printers?
3D printers.
They're a big part of our life.
Will they be? I think they're never going to be, I don't think they're ever going to be a huge part of our day-to-day life. But again, at CES unveiled last night, XYZ Printing has a 3D pen, which basically extrudes plastic and lets you sculpt with the pen in real time. The plastic cools, and you can build shapes. That's a great toy. That's a great modeling tool. That's just a great technology that can be an addition to our technological lives.
I think
It's called a hoverboard when it doesn't hover.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean it's a fair point. It's a situation where that took off as a word in the as a word in the lexicon, and then we all had to use it because of search engine optimization.
Yeah, I mean, if you'll never see our stories if we don't call them hoverboards.
Exactly.
Sorry.
But okay, so the 3D printing, where 3D printing is going to become a huge part of your life, but you are not necessarily going to have a 3D printer because the applications for 3D printing in medical are going to be gigantic. The applications for 3D printing in industrial prototyping are already gigantic. There's going to be a massive amount of 3D printing going on behind the scenes in industry, in business, that isn't necessarily a 3D printer in your home printing a mug for you to drink coffee from or whatever.
Printing is useful for CAM.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's got a ton of applications. It's just the consumer market of it is always going to be smaller than the industrial and the business market for it on a huge order of magnitude. Other cool products I saw last night.
4K Blu-ray players and price. Try to repeat what I'm saying.
We haven't seen any of those yet.
Say what it is.
4K Blu-ray players and price.
Yeah, we have not seen any of those yet. I suspect that's going to be stuff that comes out on the floor probably tomorrow. I did see the Samsung unit at IFA a couple of months ago, where they were saying it would probably be $500 and probably be early this year. So hopefully we'll be able to get some more details on that when the floor opens tomorrow.
More largely in terms of the market, that category is shrinking very, very quickly. 4K streaming is available from Netflix. It's going to be available from a lot of different. It's going to be available from HBO. There are a lot of providers that are going to be offering 4K video streaming, and that's really where we see the trend is being able to stream and show 4K on some of these TVs, and it will look great on that Samsung 8500 series. That's for sure. Keep those questions coming.
Back to Unveiled.
Oh, back to Unveiled. Yeah. So, Withings has a great new thermometer out. It's a $100 thermometer. And you hold it up to your head, and it takes your temperature, non-invasive, offers a ton of detail. And of course, the first thing I asked is, okay, why would I buy a $100 thermometer when you can get a thermometer for like $5 at CVS? And she said it's much more accurate. It's got 60 different sensors in it. I'm like, that's great, but if it only tells you 1 degree of difference, what does it matter? But the thing that's interesting is that you'll be able to record that data and create a chart. And this is the interesting thing about all this digital health technology. It's not necessarily about what it does. It's about how it captures the information, offloads it to software, and then you've got a medical history that you can share with your parents, you can share with your doctor, your hospital, and it creates this medical record that we've never really had before.
Well, yeah, and I mean that makes me think of another cool thing that I saw at CES yesterday, which was another digital thermometer. But this one is for...
What's the best wearable for health and fitness? And they say the thermometer looks like a dildo.
Thermometers are thermometer shaped. What can you say? But I wanted to say about this other thermometer. It's for parents of small children, and it's for parents of small children who have fevers. And you tuck it under the kid's armpit when she goes to sleep, and it just quietly, constantly monitors the fever and tells your smartphone about it, so that you can so that when your child
throughout
is
the night, you get
fitfully sleeping throughout the night, you can wake up in that paranoid way you do as the parent of a small child and say, "Oh, the fever's coming down a little," without having to wake the kid up, which is wonderful. But yeah, in terms of fitness wearables, I really want to wait for Tim to weigh in on this, because we have a wearables guy, Tim Torres, who I think right now is at a Fitbit press conference.
At a Fitbit event right now.
Yeah, he is running to the Fitbit event right now.
How would the thermometer stay there?
Oh wait, just a minute. I will say you can't keep it. I'll say right now our editor's choice Fitbit happens to be on my arm, so I can show it on camera. The Fitbit Surge. That's going to be tracking all my steps during CES. If you need a wearable right now, that's the way to go.
Okay. How does the thermometer stay in the armpit? I am not 100% sure. Hopefully we were right about this.
Stickers.
Yeah, probably stickers.
Stickers, adhesive tape. The other small, this is not a hugely important product, but I think it's an interesting development. Whirlpool is going to be incorporating Amazon Dash technology directly into its products, which, you know, the Dash buttons were those little buttons that Amazon was selling. You push a button, you get your soap delivered to you once a month, or you get new dishwasher detergent delivered to you. By building that directly into the device, you're really making a smart appliance with just a little bit of added functionality. I think it's pretty impressive that Amazon got Whirlpool on to support this standard.
So I want to talk about something that had a lot of buzz at CES yesterday, which I did not personally see, and which I kind of want to, which I basically want to criticize. Which so if you
It's okay, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean you can't criticize it.
Exactly. So if you go online and look at coverage of CES last night, and once again I was not there because I was at HTC, you'll see a lot about this company called Faraday Future. Okay, which is supposedly a car company. And there's a lot of buzz about them because they are very good at manipulating the press with mystery. And they unveiled this nonsensical concept car that will never actually come to fruition, which has one seat. And just in general is it's automotive writer ridiculousness. The whole thing about Faraday Future reminds me so desperately of I originally reported on the hype around the Segway back when it was called Ginger or It. And at the time, Dean Kamen's company was really, really good about hyping up this product as being something that will transform cities and change the human experience. And, of course, it just turned out to be the way for beach cops to ride around on the beach so that they don't get their shoes sandy. And Faraday Future, frankly, feels a lot like that to me.
You know what, though?
Are there drones delivering postal packages already?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, are there drones delivering postal packages? Not yet, and that actually comes to another thing which I think is going to be an issue at CES in an underlying way. That as we start talking about a lot of this smart health and smart cities, we are going to get into issues of regulation and government regulation. There's an FAA press conference on Wednesday, a mysterious FAA press conference, where I think they are going to slap down some regulations on drones.
Absolutely. Back to the Faraday car, and I agree that that car will probably never be on American roads. However, one of the great things about CES is that you get to see those prototypes, you get to see people pushing the boundaries. And it's not like the Segway had no impact on technology or transportation. The Segway was a direct antecedent to the hoverboards that are hurting everybody and blowing up all over the country
which is now exploding all over the world.
Very relevant in a certain way. And I just saw back in Jersey City a one-wheel hoverboard that was phenomenal. I got to track one down. And these guys were cruising on it on city streets. So there are a lot of applications for these early technologies. You just got to know what's going to be out on the market next year and what's going to be available in some different form in 5 years.
Yeah.
IBM PC Junior keyboard, anything new?
Oh, very funny, haha.
That was probably a PCMagger that put in that question.
Yeah. Somebody was asking about basically Comdex products from 1982.
All right.
What are the security? So somebody says, what are the security risks of drones? And that's such a broad question because obviously drones can be used to spy on anyone, anywhere, which I think, like...
albeit relatively loudly.
But it's not about, like, you say security, and you might be thinking of, like, computer security, but I'm thinking of personal security. And that's part of why there's this big discussion around regulation and around whether towns and cities get to regulate them, whether the FAA does drone regulation, because all of a sudden, space that you think is private is no longer private. And that's the great societal struggle around drones.
Yeah, what happens when every police agency from every little sheriff's department has their own drone and are monitoring the towns around them?
You see, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about what happens when every creepy neighbor has their own drone.
Yeah. So we'll find out when the FAA has their press conference.
Right.
So we're running up against our time. We're going to be back here in 24 hours. We're going to do more Periscopes throughout the day, so subscribe to the PCMag Periscope channel. Share these Periscopes with your friends. We appreciate that. Of course, we appreciate the hearts as well. We will be back in 24 hours, and stay tuned for Friday when we will unveil our best of CES 2016 winners. Thanks for joining us.